I know. I know what you're thinking. You're like, Brittany, you just said that you was gonna be consistent and you was gonna be coming in and talk to you next week. I know. But y'all, let's be honest. You know what I'm saying? Is consistency my best thing? Probably not. But I'm here. Okay? I'm here. I'm talking to y'all. What's up? You know? I'm here. I'm always gonna come back. You know what I'm saying? I could never leave y'all. I could never. I'm always gonna come back. It's just things get to going, life is happening, and it's so hard to really sit down sometimes and get to y'all and spend the 4 or 5 hours trying to like get it all done, get the pieces done. It's a lot, and there's not an excuse. I'm just telling y'all because we all live in life. It's happening and it's so difficult. I mean, I went to DC one weekend, which we can talk about later. Um, and work. It's so much, y'all. It's so much. Life be life and I don't want to let life so much so that I completely abandon y'all for another 2 years. Not that bad. Maybe 2 weeks, maybe a month, but I won't be gone for that long. Always know I'm gonna come back for sure. And with that being said, welcome back to Black and Classic Podcast. I'm your host, Brittany Monet, where we talk all things pop culture and politics.
Blackness, that black power, that black pushing them to identify with black culture.
While I was away, so much happened, and I was like, oh, this would be a great thing to sit down and talk to you guys about, but life, right? So life is happening, things are going on, and I'm like, okay, let me just make notes so when I do sit back down and talk to you guys, I can kind of just narrow it down and say, that's important, that's not really important, that's important, that's not really important, and we could just chit chat. So this is definitely going to be a super fun episode. It's not going to be super heavy. We're not going into politics because so much was happening and I had so many thoughts and opinions. I know you guys do too, so I definitely wanted to sit down and just talk more pop culture, a little bit of politics, but the whole gamut of things. First up, I do want to start with talking about health and just how important it is. I think a lot of people stress mental health, but we don't focus on our actual health, like our body, our physical health. So, with the recent passing of Rich Homie Quan, as well as Fat Man Scoop, and a few others, I just wanted to make sure that everyone, like, go to your doctors, get your checkups. If something feels off, if something feels weird, go to urgent care. I will not say, because we are in America, okay, sprinkle a little bit of politics in there. I will not say go to the hospital. Don't take that, ambulance ride because they're going to tax you out the ass. It's going to be insane. Your insurance is probably not going to cover it. The doctors are going to make you wait 3 to 4 hours just to be seen. Like, no. So if something feels a little off, get you a primary physician, go to your doctor. If it's super urgent, obviously go to like a walk-in or urgent care or something like that. But make sure you are staying up on your health. Things that may not have been happening last year, but they're happening this year. Let's make sure we're going and we're talking to our doctor and we're expressing these things. A lot of us do have insurance. You can also have, now it's the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, but everyone really has to have insurance. So make use of it. Go to your state agencies, get signed up for the Affordable Care Act, go to the doctor, talk to your doctors, whether it's, your primary, if you're a woman, your OB, if you're a man and you need to get, what is it? Like, not a colonoscopy. Is it a colonoscopy? I don't know, where they check your pancreas, all these things. Like, do what you got to do, okay? Because a lot of people are taking it for granted. They're waking up in the morning, which again, give praise to the Most High, but they're waking up in the morning, they're just getting started with their day, and they're not realizing like things are changing in your body. Like, lumps are growing, things are forming, your vision is going away, your hearing might be changing. Like, all of these things matter, and we definitely need to go to our doctors. So don't overlook things. Again, also, if you know you have an addiction to something, or you need something to, you know, go through your day, whatever that vice may be, especially if it's something that's not super healthy, go seek treatment, go get help. I think a lot of people overlook, especially alcoholism, a lot of people overlook how bad their addiction to alcohol can be because they're just like, well, it's socially. I don't do it too much. I'm not, crazy, or I'm not, a drunk or anything like that. But what I always think about in those situations where I'm like, you probably have a problem you just don't realize, is because something's going to be the catalyst that exacerbates or amplifies, if you will, that situation where you are drinking socially meaning every meal you have a drink. When you're sitting down, you're like, oh, let me make a cocktail. When you wake up and you go, to your refrigerator, instead of grabbing water, you're grabbing some alcohol. Like, it may not seem that it's alcoholism because you're not behaving in a certain way. Like, you have a stigma of what it looks like, and you're like, well, I don't do X, Y, and Z, so I'm probably not an alcoholic. But then something in your life, a pivotal thing happens, and now it's a catalyst, and now what was already there is now 10 times worse. And so now you're displaying those behaviors of someone who you in the past would have deemed was an alcoholic. I hope that makes sense, and I hope you're following that, because I don't want people to overlook little usage to then say like, oh, well, I just do it recreationally, and then something happens and now you're drifting off into something else. And I say that because I was watching the Black Sam and Big Boy interview, and he said when Nipsey passed away, he never drank, did drugs or anything like that. He might have smoked a little, but he said when Nipsey passed away, he realized why people go to drugs, because he didn't want to feel, he didn't want to be here. So he realized, like, I see why people would just go do drugs, because then I don't have to feel this. Like, the pain will go away, I'll feel good, I'll be high, I'll be lifted, and I'll be good. And that's what happens, right? So, like, something happens in your life, and if you have a vice that's getting you through the day to day, and that day gets fucking hard, you're going to go to increase what was already getting you through a simple day. You know what I mean? So I want us to pay attention to the things that we use as a crutch. And it doesn't have to be alcohol. It's like me. Hello, girl, I love shopping. Okay, come in. I love shopping, right? And I don't ever want my shopping to become something where now it's like a hoarding, like, shopping addiction behavior where, like, I've lost control, something happened, it's a catalyst point in my life, and now your girl can't stop spending everything I do. I'm trying to get money to spend money, because that gives me like that serotonin, that euphoric feeling. So I'm trying to chase down to spend because I didn't get control of it when it was just something to get me through the day. You know what I mean? Like, if I tell people all the time, if I have a stressful day at work, yeah, I'm going to a store. I'm going to a mall. Like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to walk around. I'm going to, even if I buy like a hair tie, that joke wrote itself. Even if I'm going to buy something small, I'll say a pair of socks. I'll be like, okay, whew, I feel good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel good. So I definitely want us to get control of what we have going on. Please see a therapist, a psychiatrist if you need one. But like, really, hone in on what you got going on, because it is wild out here. I told y'all, life be life, and life is happening for everyone, not just you and your little bubble and your little world. It's happening for everyone. Everyone is triggered. Everyone is going through something, and we just have to be able to be cognizant of that, as well as cognizant of what we got going on in our own body, how it's feeling. Maybe something is, cracking how it wasn't cracking before. Maybe you're, like, whatever it is, just go and get it checked out. Get 2 or 3 opinions. Do what you got to do. If you got to change the way you eat, all of those things, do it, because your health is number 1. And speaking of mental health, I got my notes here, y'all. Speaking of mental health, we'll just dive right into the school shooting that happened recently in Georgia. I'm not going to give the details of it. If you want to know the details, you go look it up. I'm more interested in the precedent that's being set, that parents are now to some degree being held responsible for their child committing a school shooting and people dying and things like that. This previously happened. I should have looked it up. This previously happened with the other case. However, with that one, I felt it was a little different because the son was like verbally telling more so texting them like, I'm gonna do it, I'm sick of this. And like, they knew he had a gun, they bought him the gun. So it was almost like to me, it felt like the parents kind of taunted him and they were like, oh, really? That's what you're gonna do? Here's the gun. Oh, really? Okay, yeah, you're gonna go and do that. And so it felt like they taunted him, which led him to be like, I'll show you, and he did it. Instead of being like, you probably need help, and let's get you some help, and let's also warn the school so the school is aware of all of these thoughts of us previously buying you a gun. Now we have it locked up. Now it's away. Actually, it's out of the home. It's over at Grammy's house, and you don't have access to it. You don't know where it is. You know what I mean? Or it's at uncle's house who's 45 minutes away. Like, we could take some precautions. I always say it's better to be proactive than reactive. It feels like in a lot of these school shootings, we are more reactive than proactive because, again, the parents know and the parents don't do anything. So there's that. So my first thought is, I'm not understanding why kids are being bought assault rifles, military grade weapons. Like, it's confusing to me. It's only confusing because the argument is always, well, yeah, we can have access to guns, and what if they go hunting? And I'm like, okay, like, I've heard of people going hunting with their fathers and things like that, but they're also like locked away, and it's during hunting season and all of these different things. Y'all are buying our kids assault rifles and like just really intense things, and then are like, I thought he just might have liked it. Buy that nigga Call of Duty and let it be that. You know what I'm saying? Buy him. I don't even know if that's really still a popular game, but buy him Call of Duty and let him rock out with his cock out. I don't think we need to be putting that in the hands of a teenager whose mind is not fully developed. That is so wild to me, and no one can argue that point besides saying, well, we should have access to our guns. Yeah, but he also just 4 years ago was 10. So there's that, right? Then, we have the school shootings and you have the age limit. I think there needs to be some sort of reform. There was a clip of Neve with Catfish who did this really, really long, like, monologue, basically kind of like putting it back in people's face who are so pro-life, of being like, okay, yeah, the same way that you guys treat abortion, you should treat these gun laws and these regulations. You know what I mean? How hard it is for women to get an abortion, how they have to travel to a different state, how they have to go through all these checkups, how they have to, damn near like complete a test and get, analyzed just to say, yeah, I want to abort this child, is the same way y'all should do for guns and regulations. Like, yes, you should check these people's mentals and their psyches, and who's in the household, who has access to this weapon, what's their history. Like, all of that should be done. I think it should be a little bit more strict. I don't think you should take them away, but I don't think it should just be as easy as some places you can just walk into a Walmart, buy a gun, and that's it. That's a little crazy to me. Or, a lot of places in the South, you can walk in and you're getting all of these high-powered weapons, and it's just like, for what? Babes, go to war or something. Like, do something where it makes sense. Y'all just out here doing this because of what? Again, America, to me, has a fascination with death and murder and kill. That's why true crimes and things like that are super popular things right now in America, because we have an obsession with it, because we are exposed to it at a alarming rate. So yeah, I mean, if you want to regulate what we do with our uteruses and our ovaries, then you definitely should regulate what people are doing with these guns, since they aren't actually, and very rarely, used to protect themselves. Very rarely are they used to protect themselves. So there's that. And just as we spoke to with mental health, if your child is showing signs of struggling with their mental health, I simply say, get them some help. Sit with them. Maybe it doesn't even have to be someone who is a licensed therapist or anything like that, but maybe they need to just sit down with a friend. Maybe they need to sit down with that one pastor, or maybe they need to sit down with your coworker who's really great at talking to people. Like, they need an outlet where they can get the tools to kind of help them in whatever they're dealing with, right? Maybe they need to be diagnosed with something. I think sometimes in America we are so quick to diagnose people just so we can get them on a pill and get them popping something. Again, big pharma, that goes into a whole other political thing, right? But I do believe we have to focus on the mental health. Also, get these motherfuckers off social media. There's no reason, you know what I mean? I think it can be a great thing, but also I believe if your child, like, I'm gonna sound like I'm contradicting myself just a wee bit, but like, if you see your child has the personality and is like on social media, growing a following, you know, being like a trendsetter and things like that. I see some young kids on social media and I'm like, you have the fortitude for this, right? Like, you have the personality. I think we are now realizing just how you had child stars and like they were able to act at a young age, be captivating. Those same kids now, they're not too much child stars, but now they're like little mini internet sensations and everyone's into them and your kids are following them and things like that. Those kids, I'm like, yeah, cultivate that, because we don't really have child stars too much as we do now these influencers, right? So I think that's very important. But if your child is just on there to scroll and to talk to their friends, baby, what do you need all this social media for? What you can do is you can text your friend and you can FaceTime your friend, and right in the iMessage app, y'all can play games and do all the things. You don't need to be on social media, because all you're doing is you're scrolling and you're scrolling and you're scrolling and you're ingesting things that you're not able to, like, have discernment about, or the understanding of what's actually happening. And to be honest, it's not even on teens. You see, I'm leaning in because I'm for real about this. It's not even on teens. It's a lot of adults who as well can't decipher or have the discernment of like, oh, okay, that's a little bit of, you know, sensationalism, that's a little exaggeration, that's an algorithm. You know, I broke that down previously. So there's a lot of things that go into it. I think, you know, now that we have this precedent set of parents, you know, potentially being held responsible as well for their child's behavior, I think it's two sides to it, right? One side, I'm like, yeah, because the more you investigate into the parent, you're like, yo, you knew and just did nothing. Actually, you bought him weapons. Like, you knew. Like, I would have been like, hey, maybe we should pull him out of school. Maybe we should get him into something else. Maybe we should look into other programs. Like, something else needs to be done, because he's displaying and expressing something that should be alarming to me as a parent. And now that I knew and did nothing, then yeah, I should be held responsible. I don't think we're too far away from schools being held responsible, because I do believe that a lot of schools, and I hate to say it because teachers are not paid enough. Teachers are not paid enough, not nearly enough, and they're overwhelmed, they're not paid, and that's hard, right? That's very hard. But also, I remember being in school, and I'm over 10, wow, almost 20 years away removed from school, and babes, okay? Babes, okay? Literally, I remember being in school and being like, wow, like, you are really letting this person be bullied. And I was the one who wanted to like stand up for the person and like stop it and end it, because it's like, you are like a full adult watching this person be bullied and be harassed, and it's just, okay, you guys, break it up. Okay, you guys. And it's like, not you guys, it's one person attacking another. That's not a you guys break it up situation, because now you're putting blame on essentially the victim for being harassed and bullied and attacked by someone else. It just never made sense to me. And so I believe that, you know, a lot of times, I'm not saying this young man was bullied, but a lot of times that is what happens. They have a strong disdain for going to the school, for certain people, for certain things that he may not have been bullied. He may have been out on the outskirts, but he witnessed things and he felt things about his community and he didn't like it, and he might have been disgruntled about it. He didn't know how to express it, and all we know is shoot 'em up, bang bang, kill kill kill, because that's what's told to us. That's what we see. It's gory, it's bloody, and now it's like, I have all these thoughts, I have all these feelings. Let me, pour out of them. So I think we're not too far from schools also being held responsible. I will not lie. I mean, in like actual federal court, maybe civil, we've seen it before, but I mean like in federal prosecution court. So yeah, the parents being held responsible is quite literally so interesting because yeah, the more investigation they do, these parents, it's like, child, you knew that, you knew that. And I think the other flip side is now when you look at, this point was brought up on the Joe Budden podcast. However, when they get to arguing, I skip. I don't have time to hear people yell back and forth. I don't know. It just does something to my energy. I don't care to hear people yell back and forth at each other. But one of the guys on there, his name's Ish, he basically was like, this is a little bit dangerous because once you start putting blame, the simple fact of what I think he was more so trying to say was, you have weapons being used. Parents being held responsible for their child using this weapon to kill someone. Once you have, once that's set, the interpretation is up to the courts. It's up to the judge. So that can go from a school shooting all the way down to a shooting in your hood, right? Because you'll say, well, the parent knew that this child was on social media holding up guns. The parent knew that this child was not going to school. This child was displaying behaviors of shooting and killing. He was talking about it in his music, right? Let's use the situation of Julio, whose mother was like, yeah, no, I was well aware. I tried to get him to stop, blah, blah, blah. Now, if the roles were reversed and Julio has shot someone, and we're now 10 years removed from this precedent being set of parents being held responsible, courts can say, well, she knew. She saw the gun, she saw this, she saw that. She did nothing to stop it. She didn't, call police. She didn't do any type of, again, proactive measures to stop this from happening. She should be held responsible for this person's death as well, because now you're kind of saying, what is it? Is it accessory to commit murder? Accessory after the fact? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know. That is what I think his point was, is that, yeah, at some point they're going to start holding y'all parents responsible. Now, I might offend some people, but I don't think that's so wrong. I only say I don't think it's that so wrong because I'm not saying lock the parent up, but I do believe that there needs to be this idea that we have to start, especially, again, it takes a village. So when I say we, I mean like the full community. We have to step in and say, okay, we got to get control of this. I was just on, I don't know, child. It most likely probably was YouTube. And I was looking at some shorts, and they were in Toronto, and it was these little white babies. They couldn't have been more than like 14 years old, and they were like, they had all these like insane nicknames and pants sagging, and he like, oh yeah, you know what I keep in here. He had like a little Nike bag, so yeah, you know what I keep in here, and like and I'm like, the way y'all think this drill culture shit is so cool is insane to me. Like, but again, if he then goes out, moved and so underdeveloped, thinking this is the way to go, and now he shoots and kills someone, and the whole time your parents knew the way you were operating and carrying it, it's like, it's hard to say we're going to hold parents responsible for this act that their child did and not these acts, when both parents had knowledge and were aware and could have did things to prevent it. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not totally opposed, but then I'm also like a parent can't be there every single day of the week, but I think if you know, or if you're aware, like there's a lot of times where parents are aware of what their kids are doing, and you know, their kids being the one that's shooting shit up, like they know, and half the time they're scared of their child. So I think it's such a slippery slope, but the case is gonna happen. I don't know when, honestly. It could be the end of this year. 2024 has been a wild ride already. So the case is going to happen, because now they've done 2 where parents have been held responsible. It's going to happen. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Mark my words. It's going to happen. Now, on to something lighter and much more interesting. Cam Newton. Cam and this fragile ego. Listen, I'm not going to lie to y'all. When I saw the clips on TikTok, I got triggered. I had like a visceral reaction. I was triggered. So no, I did not watch the full interview. I would never do that I would never do that to myself. No. Dr. Bryant is better than me, because at 31 years old, I am never, ever, 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 ever again. Never, ever again. I'm never arguing with the male ego. I'm not doing it. Arguing, debating, having a discussion, having a conversation with a triggered male ego is impossible. It's hard to do. You will not win. His ego is going to fight and talk you and be combative through every logical, observant fact. All she did was give that man an observant fact. Hey, you have 8 kids. You have all these separate homes. Those are going to be broken homes. That triggered him, because it's just the truth. Like, unless you have a compound, or you done bought houses, like a sister wife situation, if y'all watch that on TLC, if you have houses on one street or in one little cul-de-sac, really, that's what he would need. And you just bounce around house to house. I mean, granted, you're still not there. You see what I'm saying? Like, it feels like irrefutable. Like, you can't refute the fact that you have now created broken homes, but somehow he found a way to refute it. And the sickest part about it is, and this is why I will not argue with the male ego in no way, shape, or form, is because once that ego gets triggered, then it's like attack. Now he's going to want to attack you and challenge you and make it be like, well, you're putting the mirror on me, so let me put the mirror on you. The craziest part, and that's why I love Dr. Bryant, when you try to put the mirror on me, I've already accepted. That's the difference between a fragile male ego and a woman like Dr. Bryant, like myself. When you have already confronted your truths, your flaws, your problem areas, when you've already confronted that, accepted that, you own them, putting a mirror to me doesn't do nothing but show me how good I look. Hello? That's all it does. However, when your ego is fragile and it gets triggered and someone puts the mirror to you, all you see are the cracks in your mirror. You see the broken pieces in your mirror. And now you want to project like, I look in the mirror and see the same thing. No, baby, I don't. I don't look in the mirror and see a broken mirror. I don't look in the mirror and see shattered, broken pieces, things falling off. The frame is fucked up. One side of the frame missing. Like, I don't see that. Because I've done the work and put that mirror back together and polished that mirror the fuck up, when I look at that mirror, the mirror looks good and reflects a damn good looking person back at them. Hello? Yes, wake that one on up. That's what I see. So when I'm watching Cam Newton and Dr. Bryant, I'm like, he don't even know his mirror is broken, and all this woman is trying to say is, hey, look at these broken pieces and how can we work to fix those pieces? You're so triggered by the brokenness that you can't even get past what the message is that she's trying to give to you. And that's why I don't argue with the male ego. I'm not doing it. I don't do it because I know that I'm coming from a genuine good place to say, yeah, at one point my mirror was broken. At one point my pieces were broken. At one point, things were falling apart. It was a little raggedy, but I spent time fixing and working to get that mirror good. I might have had to replace the whole fucking mirror, but I took the time to, maybe certain parts were good and I had to do this and I had to do that, and maybe some parts are taped up, but regardless, I can look at that mirror and be happy with what I see in it, and I won't be triggered by you holding the mirror to me because I've already worked on it. Like, I know what's in that. I know what I'm gonna see when I look at it. You don't. Oh, yeah. See, all the men like Cam Newton, you don't know what's in that mirror. You don't know what you're gonna look at. You don't know what you're gonna see because you avoid. Hello, accountability. Yup. You avoid looking at that mirror. You avoid those truths. You avoid those objective facts. You avoid being, what's the Michael Jackson song? You avoid the man in the mirror. Like, you don't want no parts of what any type of truth and reality of your situation is. So you don't want to look at it. You don't want to address it. And when a woman who is self-assured starts to bring things up, you're going to project because there's no way you can meet a woman who's not going to be insecure about her flaws. Yeah, my mirror might have a chip with, some glue over it, but I know that chip and that glue is there, and it's holding it together quite fine. And I'm not insecure about you pointing out the chip with the glue on it, because I know that chip with the glue is there, and I know how hard I had to work to get that piece to fit back there. Maybe I had to cut another piece of glass from somewhere else to fit that piece back up in there, glue it together to feel good about what's going on right there. Yep. And I can acknowledge it and accept it. You can't put that in my face and say, but look, that's cracked and glued up over there. That paint actually don't match the original paint. I don't care about none of that. Still look good to me. You see? And that's a different type of confidence that you want to shatter because yours is shattered. You can't shatter this, baby. Hate to tell you, you can't shatter this. And that is what I felt when I was like watching the clips. I watched so many. I watched the little clips he put out. I saw the titles he was giving them. I said, damn, this man's ego is hurt, baby. His ego is hurt. And that is crazy. Because all she was trying to do was just say, hey, here's this mirror. Here's what I see. Here's what other people see. Walk me through it. Let's try to put this mirror back together. But again, the male ego comes out, jumps out. He can't focus on the man in the mirror. And that's why I said, it's impossible. I'm not doing it. I'm not sitting down with no man, no mo. Especially when you out here in these dating streets. Oh my God. You always gonna run into the man that's jumping ahead of all of the brokenness to be like, no, don't focus on that. Don't look at that. Because if you look at my brokenness, I'm gonna try to find your brokenness. I'm trying to find your flaws. And you could do that, but the thing is, I'm confident in that. And that's what frustrates you. It frustrates you that I'm not insecure about it. It don't bother me. So you, like he was telling her, oh, but you're this age and you're single and you're supposed to have all these ideas, but you're single. Like, that's why. That's why she's single, love. She's single because she's understood and she's done the work to put her mirror together and to fix all the cracks and to fix all the brokenness and all the shattered pieces, and it's back. It's beautiful. She look at herself. She say, yeah, I look good. Let me put my lip gloss on. Hold on. Yeah, like, she's confident in herself. You're so used, here come a word. These men be so used to dealing with women whose mirrors are also shattered, broken, falling apart, that when the two shattered pieces get together, their egos can battle it out, right? Like, they'll fall in love with the egos battling it out, and then once the ego drops a little bit, then they can project all into those broken pieces, and they think that they're like, they like that, right? Like, that woman's insecure, so I can point out all her brokenness and she doesn't have to focus on mine. And she knows you're broken too. She sees your broken mirror. So what she does is then when your ego drops a little bit, she goes and she attacks your broken pieces, and all y'all do is y'all attack each other. But what happens is when you find a woman who's done the work, even though, well, vice versa, we'll say male or woman, right? If you find someone who's done the work and their shit is together and their mirror is good and they're confident in it and you can't point out no flaws even if you see them, it's because now you can't attack no insecurity. You can't, there's no ego. Like, my ego is gone. So you can't come at me with anything because there's no ego, and it's going to be hard for you to connect with that person because you're so used to fighting and reacting from your ego. So you go and you find another shattered, broken mirror, broken person with a big ego, and y'all work it out. And you say, well, all these other people dealing with me, but you ain't got nobody. No, I don't have anybody because I'm not looking to get together with a broken mirror, especially not one that's not getting repaired. Now, hey, had Cam said, yeah, I got some broken pieces, because everyone has things that they could work on, right? Like, maybe your mirror 1 year, maybe 5 years, your mirror is pristine. It's beautiful. I'm using this analogy because it's the only way I talk, guys. Y'all know this. I talk in analogies. You know, the mirror's pristine, it's beautiful, it's polished, everything looks great, it's always clean. Then all of a sudden, one area drop, shattered that one little piece, and now you got to work to put that piece back together, and you're working to get that piece back together. Maybe it takes 6 months, maybe it takes 2 years, who knows, but that one little piece breaks, and now you got to put it back together. Maybe someone comes along and shocks you and throws a rock at your mirror, and you like, wait a minute, wait, what, you know, whatever. But now you got to work to get that back together. Or you meet a man or you meet a woman, and same thing for them. You know, they're now, maybe they were completely shattered, completely broken, like Cam Newton, completely shattered, broken. And they start to want to get their shit together, and they start doing the work, and they start going to therapy, or, you know, they find their religion, what have you, and they start putting it back together, and they're putting the pieces together, and then you come in, right? So then a partner enters in, and the partner is like, oh, I see, you know, you're doing the work and you're putting yourself back together. I may not jump into being in a relationship with you, but, you know, I'll see how it goes as you put yourself together. But someone who has their mirror together, they can't be with someone who's shattered. It's not going to work, because it's going to be constant projections, and when you don't have an ego to fight and be combative with them, it's going to frustrate them further. Because, and that's where the toxic part comes in, right? It's going to frustrate them further. Like, for me, when I'm watching Dr. Bryant, I'm like, all of your little tactics and saying these different things, and, oh, but you're still single, and, oh, it's like, okay, like, you know, like, she is so self-assured, she's so confident and secure, even in her flaws, that it's like, and it's not even a flaw, like, being single isn't a flaw, but you know what I'm saying? He's trying to use it as something to trigger her. It's like, you can't trigger me with my own truth. Like, you can't, like, I can't look in a mirror and you say, oh, well, your nose is shaped weird. No, I'm looking at it, I can see that. Yeah. Yeah. You know, like, you can't point out something that I've already accepted and embraced. And that is why I will not argue with the male ego. I encourage everyone. This is strictly for the women, honestly. Do not argue, especially if you are together or you're working to get yourself together. You're in therapy. You're doing what you got to do. Do not argue with the male ego. Do not argue with any man that's trying to throw stones and shatter you. Do not do it, especially when you know you're secure in who you are. Do not let it happen. No, especially when you're in these dating streets, child. You meet these men, they say something to you, you be like, it's no way you believe that. It's no way another woman believes that. And then I have to do the reflection and say, no, it is women out here who believe that. Say less. I'm just not one of them. So sorry. That's not me. I'm going to get out your way so you can find another girl who, because I'm not going to work to put your mirror back together and help you out. That's not a challenge I'm up for. I'm going to just move out the way. Either you could find another broken mirror and y'all could duke it out. Y'all egos could duke it out. Or you can find a girl who want to sit on the side and wait for you to be ready to repair your mirror. Either way. You know what I'm saying? And the sad part is, what we've seen, another word, a lot of women will go and their mirrors kind of getting together. So they find a man, they like this man. He's a little rough around the edges. Some pieces crack. Some pieces they like. She like, oh, okay, they kind of there. Stick with him. Now he goes and gets his mirror together. Mirror's all polished and pretty. Guess what he do? Exactly. He leaves her and goes and get with another woman who mirror looks better than hers. And now you like, motherfucker, I just sat here with you for X amount of years, helped you get your mirror to look like this, and you leave me to go get with another girl? Like, yeah, don't. And that's the point of struggle love. Don't struggle and write it out with him, hun. Let him get that shit figured out. Please, okay? Like, I was so triggered by Cameron because I'm like, he don't even know how crazy he sounds. And they don't know how crazy they sound because a bunch of people are running around with shattered and broken mirrors. So they don't even know how they sound or what they look like because they won't look at the man in the mirror. Word to Michael, they won't look at it. So, and then when they're confronted with it, especially if you got an okay mirror, yeah, they're gonna project, throw rocks, do all they can to break you up and shatter you. And it's like, especially if you're not coming from an egotistical place, it's like, well, babes, I don't too much know what you want from me. Like, I'm not arguing with you. I'm asking you about what you see. And you can't see too much because this shit broke down for real. Like, it is crazy. It is crazy. But that was my thought. That was my opinion. I just felt like Dr. Bryant is better than me. I'm not arguing with the male ego no more. I just I can't do it. I can't do it. It's something up there that's beyond the point of delusion where it's like, how do you not how do you argue with an objective fact? How? I don't know. That was my little 2 cents. Moving on. I just quickly wanted to talk about Kamala because Kamala girl, when, you know what? Let me play the clip. We're going to play the clip. I'm just going to play it.
Never interacted with him, met him face to face.
Why? Kamala girl, why as a vice president have you never met or been face to face with Donald Trump? I don't know why that just was weird to me, but moving on.
Purposes. Questioning a core part of your identity.
Yeah.
Any
Same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
That's it?
That's it.
See, now, here's where my issue was. My issue wasn't in her not answering the question. My issue was more so you had that was literally like a layup. You had the perfect opportunity, Miss Harris. You had the perfect opportunity to spin that. You could have spun that thing so nasty, like, and you didn't. You absolutely did not. You had the opportunity to bring up his feelings about people of color. You had the opportunity to bring up like doing DE and I, diversity, inclusion, and diversity, equality, and inclusion. Like, you could have done all of these things about being an American Indian and being Black American, and like, she could have went crazy with that question, and all she said was, same old rhetoric, next question. Bleh, what? Like, you had the opportunity, and that's where it always gives deep sigh. Like, I want my politician to be like how Obama was, Bill Clinton, even Donald J. Trump. They get out there and they gonna spin it and work it. You know what I mean? And that's what's like, you don't give that. I mean, I never really seen Joe give that. I don't know. He always gave sleepy to me. I think Bernie Sanders could do it. It's a lot of politicians that can get out here and they can just simply get a question and on their feet spin it and just, have you being like, exactly, rooting for them. Michelle Obama even did it at her speech with the DNC. Like, you have to get out there and be able to spin it and to like really sell it old girl just be thinking she could just sit there, nod her head, and we're gonna be like riding for you. Like, babes, we need you to say something. You know, like that was such a like it couldn't have been an easier layup, and you missed the shot. You missed it. It's a deep sigh for me. It's a deep sigh. Every time Kamala do something, I'm like, it's such a deep sigh, because it's like, sister girl, wake it up. Like, wake it up. And then Candace Owens makes a funny point, because she had said, Kamala's like, and when I get in office, and when I get in office, it's like, well, you are in office. I think that's such a hilarious point. It's very funny to me, because she is indeed in office. And now she's doing these interviews where we're hearing her speak, but it's like, say something. Maybe I need to watch a little bit more, and maybe that's on me and my confusion, but I'm feeling like that was such a great opportunity to not even, you didn't even have to attack or slander him. You just literally could have just laid out facts and things that he said and been like, yep, totally understand, you know, his POV, but here's and like laid him out. You sat there, laughed, and said next question. Like, you could have went into Howard, you could have went into sororities, like you really could have went somewhere, but I don't know. I don't know. I want her to give us a little bit more. She wants this black vote. She needs to do a little bit more. Right now, she's selling it short, and we don't. Child, we don't even know. Next up, and lastly, before I let y'all go, I'm not gonna keep y'all too long. Ice Spice. So I said on Instagram that I was on Ice Spice side. If y'all don't know, Ice Spice and Cleotrapa, who is also an up-and-coming artist, they had a little situation. They went on tour. Well, Ice Spice went on tour, brought out Cleotrapa. Cleotrapa then, towards the end of the tour, left the tour and basically exposed all of her mistreatment, all of the bad things that she said were happening to her. And now the internet is in an outrage and they hate Ice Spice. I was on the side of Ice Spice only because of the business side of it, not the personal side of it, the business side of it. Firstly, people never cease to amaze me, and I also don't, choose my words carefully. I think people use the word friend too loosely, too fast, too often. Your friend should be someone, like I've always said, if something happens to you and you need to talk to a friend, the first person you call, that's your friend. All the other people you don't call, tell, share, that's not a friend. If there's something bad happening in your life, the first person that you think to text, that's your friend. When you need to vent and the first person you pull up your phone to call or text, that's your friend. The person who knows a lot of personal things about you, and you see how it's personal, it's intimate, that's your friend. Oh girl, when I'm listening to her, she like, we never been around each other without makeup. We've never been around each other just in pajamas and dressed down. We've never been around each other just on some chill shit. I'm pretty sure that's what she said. Y'all never been around each other like that, but that's your friend? Make it make sense to me. You feel what I'm saying? You said out your own mouth y'all only been around each other when it was basically she was gonna be promoting an album. So it's, y'all are going to, like I saw they did Kai Cenat. They were at like give me the word, Jesus, basketball games, sitting courtside, you know, video shoots, things like that. That's the only time she's asking you to come out or bringing you around. But then you saying this is your friend. No, that's just a bitch you know. That's your acquaintance. That's your homegirl. That's your homie. Like, that's someone you chill with. That's someone you hang with. That's someone you just go out and have fun with. That's not your friend. That was my first thing that was alarming to me. You need to not say people are your friends, because they're not. And now you're mad because you said I should have been knew she wasn't my friend because of X, Y, and Z. No, you knew she wasn't your friend the whole time. You knew she wasn't your friend the whole time. What you thought was, this girl's popping, this girl's lit, she fuck with me, I fuck with her, let's go out and do this shit. Like, you know what I mean? That's what it was. You know what I mean? And that's literally what it sounded like when she was doing her 1911 parts about the tour. That's just like what you said is the truth. That girl really was never your friend, but that's what you wanted to call her, and that's fine too. But like, once she starts to show you who she was, I feel like she been showing you who she was. I don't think this is something that you learned just going on tour with her. I think she been showed you this behavior, but you ignored it. But now that you're in a close, what's the word? You're in close encounters, and like it's every single day for months on end. I mean, not even months, but like weeks on end. Now you're like, oh no, she's a bad person, and she's dark, and she got demons, and she needs to be saved. It's like, girl, you been fucking do that, but you ignored it. And now you want us to sell us that she was your girl, like y'all was girls. No. And then it's funny because then when I hear Ice Spice talking about it, I'm like, yeah, the way she talking, y'all wasn't friends like that. Y'all weren't friends like that, and you knew that. But you wanted to go on tour. You wanted to go. You know what I'm saying? So for me now, when I look at the business side, especially also as a young woman and things like that, I know I'm just a little bit different. But I know if it's someone who I can say for certain, if it's someone who I know don't really rock with me like that, and they like, oh, come do X, Y, and Z with me, or come do this, and this with me, and I already knew you gave me moving funny vibes, and I just never really spoke to it, but I always knew you gave that, I'm gonna make sure my shit is straight. I'm not trusting nothing you saying, not to say that, you know, I shouldn't trust you, but I'm not gonna trust nothing you saying. I'm gonna make sure all my shit is straight. Get my people to talk to your people to make sure I'm good, because what I won't do is put myself out there to be in a fucked up situation when I already knew the bitch moved funny. You know what I'm saying? And that's the type of thing that I felt like you already knew she moved funny. Before you went on this trip, you knew she moved funny. Then it was things coming up about Baby Storm had said some stuff, and Cleo was trying to defend Ice Spice against Baby Storm and all this other stuff. And I'm like, girl, you knew that girl moved funny, but you wanted to still be attached to her. And when she now, see, here's the word, right? You can't think that you watch someone treat other people a certain way and then say, oh, but they would never do that to me. No, they for damn sure are going to do that to you, baby. They're going to do that to you. So whatever you saw her doing with other people and how she was treating other people and the way she was treating you when y'all 1 or 2 little nights out here and there, she for sure was going to do that to you. So I don't get where the shock was with Cleo, and I think that's where I was like, I'm on Ice Spice side, because she showed you for a long time who she was. Then y'all get to spending weeks together, and all of a sudden she's a terrible person. No, she been showed you who she was, so you knew who she was. You already had that inkling, so you should have went off of that. Then on top of that, the reason why I'm also on Ice Spice side, because Ice Spice could have said, come on girl, yep, I got it, got with her team, and her team was like, no ma'am, this budget barely cover you and the shit you want to do, and now you just think you want to add a whole nother person. No ma'am. That is where I'm like, okay, now once Ice Spice got that information, because I know she got that information, she should have brought that information to Cleo. She should have said, girl, look, I thought da-da-da-da-da, but maybe you should bring your people out. And what created the tiff was, to me, from my own interpretation, that conversation never happened. The conversation of, I thought I would be able to hold you down on my budget and, you know, just look out for you. I don't think I could do that. So now, you know, you might want to, you know, figure it out, or let's see what we could do. That conversation should have happened. But again, if you already knew the type of individual you were dealing with, aka Ice Spice, if you already knew what Ice Spice was on, then it would be hard. I would be hard pressed to be like putting the blame on her, because you already knew who she was. Like if a snake show you they a snake, you can then weeks later be like, that bitch a snake. No, you already clocked that. So now you gotta move differently, because you already clocked that. Was Ice Spice petty? Yes. The whole secret they went to a steakhouse and didn't tell nobody, that to me was hilarious. But that to me doesn't scream, this is my first time doing that. It didn't scream, that's my first time doing that. That's why no one else spoke up about it. But I digress. Then, now people are coming out, but now they're coming out because again, people are cloudy. They want attention. They want to be in the midst of something, and it's like, just shut the fuck up and mind your business, for real. Then you had the situation where she had him on the bus and was like, oh, we're not leaving yet because ICE don't want to leave. Like, you can't tell me this girl didn't show you that she moved petty. Like, you just can't tell me that. And I think the whole situation with the bag, I think something happened before that, or something was said. That's why she didn't have them carry the bags. Like, certain things, it felt like information was missing to paint ICE a certain way, when I think the whole time Cleo knew that ICE would behave that way. So it's like, you just can't, I don't know, like, to me, it just never makes sense to be like, that person is a snake, and now that I don't like that they snakes me, now I'm gonna call them out for being a snake. No, you been knew they was a snake. Like, you been knew that. So why are you mad at the snake for being a snake? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the only reason why I said I was an Ice Spice side, because everything you saying to me sound like you been knew the type of person she was, but you still went out there. Now, if you have said, y'all, I went out there, I did what I had to do, I made it work how I needed to make it work, thank you, Ice Spice, for the opportunity, everything that people said about you is true, see y'all on the next tour. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how you could have played it, because you knew who she was. But coming out acting like this girl was just the Antichrist and treated you so bad and all this, she need to be saved and demonic, and like, girl, stop. You been knew who that bitch was. And instead of clocking it and moving accordingly, you went and still tried to act like she was going to be this friend to you when you knew she was never your friend to begin with. That's why I was on Ice Spice side. That's the only reason why. Because you can't, no. No. No, you can't play with a snake then get mad when a snake bites you and be like, but they bit everybody else, but they ain't gonna bite me because we was friends. Y'all was never friends, and you knew that bitch was gonna, eventually she was gonna bite you. The same thing she did to everybody else, and the same little, cause I know how girls are, so I know, like, you saw her being petty to other people, and you was, giggling and joking, because I'm pretty sure she was still friends with Ice around the time of the whole Lotto thing. So it's like, girl, y'all was cackling and giggling and laughing and doing all the things I know. So it's like, you can't tell me you didn't have no inkling of what type of shit she be on. So to then be mad that she did the same shit to you is just so bizarre to me. I think you just gotta recognize it and charge it to the game, and next time when you go out on tour, don't be so eager to think, oh, my friend gonna hold me down. That ain't your friend, girl, and you knew that. Now you mad at her when you knew that wasn't your friend to begin with. Come on. A lot of people are, siding with Cleo, and oh, everyone's now a Cleo fan, and I get it, I guess. But for me, I'm just not gonna be the bitch down for continuing to be who she been. If she was a snake when you met her, she gonna be a snake when y'all fall out. She ain't gonna change. So why is you mad at her? I don't know. That's just my opinion. Now, with all that being said, we talked a little bit about everything. So of course, as always, if you have thoughts and you have opinions, leave a comment, send me a message, let me know. Let's talk about it. But of course, if you want to debate, y'all already know what I'm gonna say. Debate your granny, because I do not give a fuck. And I only say that because, I'm an introvert at heart. That's just who I am fundamentally. So when y'all feel like I'm going to want to just be up in person, a kiki and a cackling about this and debating about it, I really don't. You know what I'm saying? You could give me your thought and opinion, and I, will respect it, because I'm always down to see another perspective. But to go back and forth about opinions, that's never happening. So as always, debate your granny, because I don't give a fuck. And stay prayed up, stay dangerous, and as always, I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for tuning in and sticking with me through all of these hiatuses. I promise. I'm gonna try to cut them out, especially now that we're going into fall time. You know, it's fair season. Go to y'all fairs. I typically don't. I'm gonna try this year. But yeah. Anyways, I'm not gonna keep y'all. We gonna talk later. Bye.